Hello and welcome back to yet another football video, guys. I know I've been gone for a while. I've been a bit anonymous lately, but it's been a combination of a lot of travel and just having to be in a lot of different places. But I'm back now. I'm back for the most important part of the season. It's the second leg of the Champions League quarterfinals, Barcelona versus Atletico Madrid. Look, guys, I was there for the first leg. I was there in the stands and it didn't go our way, but I don't think we played badly. I don't think we were inferior for a minute. I think the game came down to one moment of misfortune in a compromised position and also a lot of inefficiency. The amount of times we found ourselves in great positions, threatening positions in the box, in the final third, and we made the wrong pass, mistimed the ball, picked the wrong option, or simply just wasted chances in front of goal. Countless. And if you look at the other end, Atletico maybe had one clear chance, which was the Solot goal, which they took. The Alvarez free kick was just, an anomaly out of nothing. You can't do much about that. So going forward at the back, I thought for the most part, we controlled the game, we dominated the game, even with 10 men. And thinking about it from a Barcelona perspective, there's so much encouragement to take from that. I echo Hansi Flick's sentiments. They asked Flick in the post-match to the Espanyol game, what do you have to do? How do you see the big Champions League tie? And he said, look, we don't need a miracle. We just need to play our perfect game. And that's exactly how it is. We have to score 2 goals. We average close to 3 goals a game. We have the players. We're over 20 points ahead of Atletico in the league. Going back to last season, we scored 4 goals in 20 minutes to win the game at the Wanda. So we don't have to think about this as sort of a 1% chance, 99% faith sort of games. That's not what it is at all. It's about going out there. It's about playing our football. It's about imposing ourselves and showing the world that we're the best team in Spain, which we are. And one of the best teams in the world. And that's how it is. Now, lots of things to talk about, but I can't in good faith begin without highlighting the best football in the world. One of the best footballers I've ever seen, and I don't say this lightly, of course, Lamine Yamal. The levels Lamine has showed in 2026 especially, I think of it and I'm still in awe. I could probably count on my 8 fingers how many times I witnessed that level of dominance, that level of technicality, of sheer superiority. Even in the game against Atletico, when things weren't going our way, where we wanted to be, you give Lamine Yamal the ball and he just strikes the fear of God into his opponents. And he also has that trait where as the stakes grow higher, as there's more on the line, he gets better, he thrives, he dominates. At 18, the personality, the mentality, the physicality as well, at this stage of the season, to be playing the way he is. Most players go the other way. You start strong and then you fizzle out. But at 18, he plays every minute of every game and looks levels sharper, fitter, stronger than his opponents who are older, who are supposedly stronger. It's just incredible. He started again against Espanyol, which surprised me. He shouldn't have started that game. There's no logical need, at least for him to play 90 minutes, and he dominated again. 2 magical assists, especially that Trivela to Ferran Torres' trademark, and then a lovely corner, and then he got his goal, completed 9 successful dribbles, the standard Lamine Yamal stuff that is unheard of for any other football in the world. And, as Barcelona fans, we say if you have Messi, you have a chance. I think we're at the stage where if you have Lamine Yamal, you have a chance, but it's more than that. We aren't just a one-man team. We have incredible technicality, attacking prowess all over the pitch. Cancelo especially has been in exceptional form. I think we have to sign him. He's more than earned the right to stay in this side, and he's going to be a huge part of how we break Atletico down. Then Gavi, I have to talk about Gavi because it's almost unheard of for a player to come back from 2 major knee injuries weeks after being medically cleared, and he's starting games already and looking like he's been playing the entirety of the season. Frankly, I think Gavi looks much better now than he did when he came back from his first injury. I think the second surgery, the second phase of rehab, I think has been incredible for him. I think we've really done a good job in making sure he comes back almost ready to start. I'm sure there's been a lot of training, there's been a lot of conservativeness in when to bring him back to ensure that he's able to contribute right from the get-go, and that's exactly what he's doing. In my mind, I sort of imagined, usually in circumstances like this, a player comes back, he barely plays for a few months, then has a proper preseason, and then maybe next season he'd look like the Gavi of old. But no, he's already looking intense, looking sharp, looking fit. Played 45 minutes in a intense CL tie with 10 men. Then he started 3 days later against Espanyol, and I think there's a good chance he starts again, or at least comes off the bench quite early. But I have my money in him starting, especially with Frankie de Jong unlikely, with Flick saying Frankie's unlikely to start and by now not being fit enough. And then we have the likes of Dani Olmo, of Lamine Lopez, of Rashford, of Lewandowski, of Ferran, who scored 2 goals, which is very important for him. So, look, there's no doubt we have the firepower, we have the attacking prowess, even without Rafinha, who's a huge loss, but we still have it to go out there and dominate and score multiple goals in this game. Now, having said that, the starting 11 is very tricky. It's one of the most confusing times I've had trying to think about what the right combination is going into this game, because frankly, look, if this was last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you wouldn't even think about it. Lewandowski starts as striker. In a game like this where Atletico will be more conservative, where they will play result-based pragmatic football, they will stay back, they will congest the spaces, make it difficult for us, you need to have a box threat, someone who makes full advantage of guys like Lamine Yamal, of Rafinha, of the movement of Fermin Lopez or Olmo behind, someone who can dominate the box. But as we saw in the first leg, Lewandowski isn't that player anymore. And an even bigger factor than that is, yes, we have to score goals, but we also have to make sure we don't concede goals. The OOP, which is the out of possession, is so important in a game like this. Because think about it. The last time we went to the Metropolitano and we got complacent, we didn't press, we gave them too much time on the ball, they scored 4 goals in 30 minutes. And if they get an early goal or 2, at that stage, it's almost impossible to come back. So the philosophy for me, the foundation for me into going into this game is relentlessness, both on and off the ball, suffocating them, not letting them get out of the box, pressing them high, forcing turnovers. And frankly, we can't do that with both Lewandowski, who's 38 and isn't capable, and Rashford, who's renowned as someone who doesn't put much of an effort in off the ball. So how do you go about this? Now, I've thought about 2 situations, right? One is you scrap Rashford and you start Fermin Lopez on the left. He gives you that intensity, and with Gavi as well, who I think will probably start in the pivot, there's enough legs, there's enough dynamism, there's enough intensity off the board to propel that suffocation almost. And then you still have that box threat with Lewandowski occupying the spaces, and you hope he has a great game like he did a few weeks ago, and you hope you bank on him getting on the edge of those crosses or those long balls, or holding the play up. If he has one of his classic games, we've seen a few times this season, he can still score goals. So that's something you can bank on with Fermin inverting from the left. And frankly, Fermin and Cancelo offer you arguably a better dynamic than Rashford and Cancelo, because both Rashford and Cancelo like to stay wide, whereas Fermin would come more on the inside, which kind of opens up the spaces for Cancelo to do his thing. Or the other option, which is probably what I'm leaning towards, is starting Dani Olmo as a false 9. We've seen it before. We've seen Dani Olmo play in that role, thrive in that role, dominate in that role. And I think with Olmo as a false 9, with Fermin Lopez, with Rashford, with Lamine Yamal, with Gavi, with Pedri, you just have a very good balance. You have the ability to dominate the half spaces like never before. If you can't dominate the box, then you dominate the lines. You play those intricate 1-2s, you kill them with movement, you destabilize and discombobulate the block. You essentially pull them in, force them out, and then run in behind with Rashford, with Fermin, with Cancelo out wide. And I think that's a very, very interesting dynamic for a game like this. It's not ideal, you still want to box threat, but with Lewandowski at this stage in his career, I think it makes a lot of sense to go with someone like Olmo as well, which is very interesting. As for Ferran Torres, he scored 2 goals. He is an option. Maybe Flick says, he scored 2 goals, looking good in training, I'll give you your say. But a game like this, just doesn't play to Ferran's strengths. Ferran likes to run into spaces. He isn't very comfortable in tight spaces. He's not very associative. So with Atletico congesting the game as much as possible, with making it very tight, forcing you to either play with your back to goal or dominate the box, or play between the half spaces, those things just don't align with Ferran's game. Maybe he's an option when the game opens up, when both sides are going for it. Let's say we score 2 early goals, Atletico have to come out in second half, then you go towards someone like Ferran, an outlet in behind. But from the start, I would probably either go with Olmo as a false 9, or with Lewandowski in combination with Fermin Lopez playing as the inverted left winger. Another option, a bit of wild card, is is Cancelo at left wing with Balde, mitigating those counter-attacks. But I think that's probably a bit of a wacky experiment we have to save for a La Liga game before we try it in the biggest game of our season. Now, I know I've been very positive this video, and I am going to continue to be positive, but just a few stats. Atletico have never lost a European KO game or a Champions League KO game at home, which is outrageous, and they're also very difficult to beat at home this season. So yes, I truly believe we're capable. We can go out there and do this, but it's a big ask, and we're going to have to be at or near our very, very best. And beyond that, guys, before I end this video, I also, I spend a lot of time on Twitter, and I want to say, look, all of us want to win that 6th Champions League. It's the biggest trophy in club football, and it's a dream, right? We're also 9 points clear in La Liga now. We're on track to win our 2nd La Liga title in 2 years under Flick. And fast forwarding back 18 months, 2 years when Flick came in, the only discourse was how easy is it going to be for Madrid? Will they win in April? Will they win in May? Will they win in March? How many years are they going to dominate for? How far behind are Barcelona? And now Flick's come in with no budget, with no backing, and he's won us 2 league titles. Well, fingers crossed, hopefully 2 league titles in a row. And that's just remarkable. So yes, of course, we have to be demanding, and we have to strive to win everything. But at the same time, people talking about it being a failure of a season if we only win La Liga. No, don't take La Liga for granted. The consistency over 38 games, we're still on track. It's very difficult. We're still on track for a 100-point season, scoring goals game in and game out with a 10 squad, having multiple injuries, with Rafinha being injured consistently, with Frankie, with Pedri, with Neal being out at different stages of the season, with the back line being in the state that it is, with Jared Martin now establishing himself as an undisputed starter. Guys, what Flick has done is remarkable, and nothing would make this season a failure. But at the same time, I totally understand the eagerness to perform in Europe, but I hope we do so positively. We get behind the side online especially, and also in the stadium, and we let them know that the support is unrelenting, because this side deserves it. And on that note, guys, I will see you after the game, hopefully celebrating an incredibly special night, and if not, then I'll be here to talk about it. Cheers.